Greetings everyone and welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Maureen Elsberry.
And I'm Alejandro Rojas. Thanks for joining us.
We're here to get you caught up on the news, so here are some of the space and UFO stories that have made headlines recently. Media outlets around the world published stories for weeks about files from the U.S. Air Force Project Blue Book investigation into the UFO phenomenon being posted online at the Black Vault website.
Most news outlets neglected to report that these files were not new to the internet, but that what was new was that they were in a PDF format and much more accessible than they had been previously.
However, now unfortunately the files at the Black Vault have been forced to be taken down. Fold3, a site that posts military files and subsidiary to Ancestry.com, has claimed they have digital copyright over the files.
A statement issued by John Greenwald, owner of the Black Vault, says, "It is with great frustration to announce that Ancestry.com and their subsidiary Fold3 has laid down a claim to copyright on the Project Blue Book material, which has long been labeled as public domain by the National Archives and Records Administration. Ancestry.com is claiming ownership to the digital version of this material, despite me having records that Fold3 doesn't even have in their archive and I received under the FOIA starting back in 1996. They simply claimed it was 100% theirs and I was forced to remove it."
He continues, "Based on evidenceless claim, I was forced to remove the entire site. That's right, there was zero evidence submitted to my web hosting provider of ownership or copyright or license, but rather they simply placed the accusation, which is all it takes. In good faith, I took the site down in hopes a compromise could be reached."
Greenwald says he was invited to become a member of the company's affiliate program, for which he would have to offer a link to them in exchange for a portion of sales generated, meaning that users would be required to sign up with Fold3, pay a membership, and Greenwald would receive a percentage from this. He says he quickly declined the offer. "This is public record material and it should remain so. To lay exclusive claim to it in the digital world when both sites, my site and theirs, offer it for free is ludicrous and a waste of time and money for everyone."
Greenwald is frustrated by the actions taken by Ancestry.com and Fold3, but he says, "At the end of the day, I'm proud to have brought attention to information that, although has been available for quite some time, the public at large never knew it existed."
A retired police officer observed a low-flying, boomerang-shaped UFO in Turlock, California on the evening of January 24th.
According to the sighting report filed with the Mutual UFO Network, the witness and his wife were driving home at the time of the incident. He describes, "It is foggy tonight, but saw three white lights in a backwards triangle, possibly a boomerang shape." He estimates that UFO was flying 100 to 200 feet above his truck, moving slowly at first, then speeding up and quickly disappearing into the fog.
According to the witness, the object was silent as it flew through the sky. His wife did not witness the event as she was looking at her phone when he tried to direct her attention to the UFO. He explains she did not see it before it disappeared into the fog haze bank.
It's unclear what the witness observed that night, but whatever it was, it left the witness perplexed. He states, "I am a retired police officer and veteran USAF aircraft crew chief and veteran Army intelligence. It did not appear to look like any aircraft I am familiar with. It was very strange."
Film from the 1940s was recently discovered that shows American military personnel carrying a dead alien body. At least that's what New Zealand-Australian magazine Uncensored claims.
This film was recently uploaded to YouTube, and the magazine originally posted the video to its website by editor Jonathan Eason on January 22nd with the title, "Roswell Original Footage of Dead Alien Rediscovered by Uncensored Editor." That post cites alternative news website The News Pipeline as the story's source. Sure enough, All News Pipeline posted a story about the video on January 13th with the title, "Is This the Real Roswell Alien Footage?"
According to this article, Uncensored's technical people did a frame-by-frame analysis prior going to press with it and determined that it was legitimate in every respect.
The article continues describing the video not only shows the dead alien, probably from the Roswell crash itself, but also the hangar and the alien body being carried into the hangar from the military ambulance that delivered it. It has enough clues to accurately date the footage from the late 1940s.
In addition to pointing out how the film is authentic according to Uncensored's editors, this article states the magazine has not disclosed how Uncensored discovered or was given the footage, but is adamant about its authenticity. Curiously, the byline on this article is Uncensored editor Jonathan Eason.
The article claims that Uncensored is the first magazine to post images from this footage, and that the complete footage itself was not released on the internet by the magazine until now. And the problem with this assertion, of course, is that the footage has been circulating around the internet for years, and this footage also appears in a 2006 comedy movie, Alien Autopsy.
Although this alleged Roswell footage is certainly not a new discovery, its authenticity has been debated for years. The well-known 1995 television documentary Alien Autopsy, Fact or Fiction, showed an allegedly authentic autopsy of an alien recovered from the 1947 Roswell UFO crash.
London businessman Ray Santilli was the man behind this documentary, and he claims that he purchased the footage from former U.S. military cameraman. And although he has since admitted that what was shown in the TV documentary was recreated in a studio because the original footage was damaged beyond repair, he has hinted that the brief black and white footage shown in the 2006 Alien Autopsy movie and recently highlighted by Uncensored is some of the original authentic footage.
Some firmly believe that this short film sequence does show an actual alien from the Roswell UFO crash. Others have a difficult time accepting that possibility, especially since John Humphreys, the sculptor who made the alien for the Santilli's recreation, was also contracted to create the alien seen in the Alien Autopsy comedy. Yes, I made the alien and performed the effects for the black and white sequence, he explained to UFO researcher and author Philip Mantle.
As the Metro reports, despite the claims of authenticity by Uncensored, Mantle describes it as utter bollocks.
Scientists have found a tiny metal orb they believe is extraterrestrial in origin, has evidence of life on its exterior, and also has a gooey biological material oozing out of it. The lead scientist of the team who discovered the object suggests that it may have been sent by an intelligent extraterrestrial civilization for the purpose of seeding life on Earth.
This revelation comes from the Buckingham Center for Astrobiology at the University of Buckingham and the University of Sheffield in England. The director of the center, Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe, is one of the leading proponents of the theory of panspermia.
Panspermia is the idea that life in space is abundant and that biological material travels from planet to planet. An even more controversial version of this theory is called directed panspermia, which is the purposeful seeding of life on other planets by an intelligent extraterrestrial civilization.
The findings by the Buckingham Center for Astrobiology in this area have been highly controversial. They claim to have several examples of microbial life from extraterrestrial sources. Their latest claim is regarding samples they received from a balloon they launched into the stratosphere. They gathered samples of the material floating around up there. It is believed that the stratosphere is too high for microbes from Earth to reach, so they must be extraterrestrial.
Among these samples is one they have named the Dragon particle. In October of last year, team lead Professor Milton Wainwright told the press that they believe this particle is a spacefaring biological entity. The latest announcement is also in regards to a sample found during their sampling of the stratosphere. However, this sample was not found in the containment system used to collect samples like the Dragon particle. Rather, it was found on the balloon itself.
Although it was not found in the collector, Wainwright says the orb made a small crater in the balloon, indicating it hit the balloon at a high velocity, which would not be the case with an object that came up from the Earth's surface and was falling back down into the atmosphere.
When they analyzed the orb, Professor Wainwright told the Daily Express, "We were stunned when X-ray analysis showed us that the sphere is made up mainly of titanium with a trace of vanadium." The surprises did not stop there. Wainwright describes the object. It is a ball about the width of a human hair, which has filamentous life on the outside and a gooey biological material oozing from its center.
Wainwright went on to speculate on the object's origin. One theory is it was sent to Earth by some unknown civilization in order to continue seeding the planet with life. Wainwright admits that the idea of directed panspermia sounds like science fiction, but he also notes that the idea was very seriously suggested by the Nobel Prize winner of DNA fame, Sir Francis Crick.
Although Wainwright suggests the orb may have been sent here by aliens, he does admit, unless of course we can find details of the civilization that is supposed to have sent it, in this respect it is probably an unprovable theory.
But a cool one.
Yeah, really wild. It's crazy. Usually when we post a story like this, we leave it to the people who post in the comments to have more outlandish theories like this, but it's the scientists themselves who are suggesting it. But, I guess it's a possibility.
It is, and and the idea of panspermia on its own is such a neat theory. But the fact that they're finding so many things that are potential that have some microbial life or something that we're not sure how it got there or why it did is interesting. Of course, a lot of people thought, plankton attached to the balloon before it went up. Some other interesting theories. And it's sad that this is probably, like you said, an unprovable theory by any means, but it also reminds me of Prometheus.
Yeah, exactly, where they were seeding the life. So, and another thing is exciting that they have yet another particle that they believe that came from space. Of course, skeptics can argue, well, how do you know that this thing didn't come from Earth? But it's strange, it's something they haven't seen before. That's the argument they made with the Dragon particle, is not only does it seem to be extraterrestrial, it's not something that we see on Earth,
right,
which also leads that it's something strange. So they are just gathering and mounting so much evidence for the possibility of extraterrestrial life that it's really exciting, and hopefully they'll start to be taken more seriously, because so far they're kind of seen as fringe.
Yeah. Well, Rick Ramsay is in the highlight of this all the time, and so hopefully they're brought in from out of the fringe, and we see some more press about it.
Yeah, one more note too is, even though these guys are kind of fringe, NASA is going to repeat their experiment. NASA is going to send up a balloon to try to get some life from the stratosphere themselves. So we'll see what they find.
Hopefully something interesting. An upcoming sci-fi thriller will explore the relationship between 3 space alien species, and the filmmakers research actual cases of alleged extraterrestrial contact for the movie. Jason McClellan recently spoke with Kenneth Stevenson, the film's co-director, to learn more about the movie and to hear about the research that has gone into it.
Kenneth, thanks so much for coming on the show. I've really been looking forward to talking with you about this film that you and your filmmaking partner, Andrew, have in the works called The Three. And if you wouldn't mind, start off by telling us a little bit about the movie, basically a general plot overview, so we get an understanding of what this movie is supposed to be about.
Well, sure. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Jason. I'm a big fan, and have been looking forward to the interview as well. The Three is being co-directed by myself and Andrew, and it's taking a pretty interesting look and spin on the alien mythology and kind of things that have been explored in the past, but maybe not in the same way, at least not since Fire in the Sky, we would like to really suggest. So The Three it features actors that people are somewhat familiar with from The Walking Dead. We've got Lou Temple and Rob Prago from The Vampire Diaries. And without giving too much away, it's going on kind of a vanguard, set in the South, think The Hunger Games or, The Walking Dead. It's in those wooded areas. And instead of kind of more of an exploitative look, kind of like Extraterrestrial, like recently released from the Vicious Brothers, this is taking more of like a Signs kind of feel, that Fire in the Sky, in which our main character, Brian, is coming back from the war in Afghanistan, Brian LaRue, and he's dealing with PTSD. He's trying to put his life back together, and in the midst of all this turmoil, he and his war veteran friend Harrison Carton, are trying to make sense of what's happening in their town. And essentially his father is in the middle of the night being taken from the house. And due to Brian's condition and the events surrounding the vet-centralized town, the law enforcement isn't very supportive. They think that, Brian obviously is off his rocker due to his father's, being in the latter state of dementia, isn't really able to fend for himself that well. So the movie is not just an extraterrestrial film. It's one that deals with a variety of issues, including PTSD, which incidentally has been very, very much highlighted in recent days with American Sniper. And it's gonna take a very intimate look at the frailty of the mind. But for extraterrestrial fans as well, it's going to have Easter eggs of research that Andrew and I have done on the different types of aliens. And that's what the three are. It's really 3 different classifications of aliens. So did that kind of sort of answer your question?
Absolutely. And what are those three classifications?
Absolutely. The three refer to the reptilians, the insectoids, and the greys. And I'd kind of like to back up and explain to you how we're approaching that.
Sure.
It's funny, when we first released this trailer, I think it was right before the holidays, we kind of witnessed an explosion of views internationally, and some of the comments were like they were expecting to see, these, velociraptor type men, and these like praying mantis type men, and that stuff is out there. Certainly, you can find the illustrations when you do the research. Of course, everybody's familiar with the greys, but Andrew and I wanted to do something different. We really wanted to focus on looking and researching all these different cultures that portray aliens in different lights. Whether it's the Hopi races or the Hopi Indian tribe in the States, or going down to South and Central America, going over into Europe. Looking at our angels, really extraterrestrials, looking at these things that have been conjectured for a long time, and saying, including David Icke's kind of conspiracy theories about the Illuminati. And we kind of said, well, you know what? As cool and interesting as all this stuff is, and as possible as any of this is, what if we sort of take all of it and make sure that it's presentable into an hour-and-a-half format? It's not necessarily exploitative. It makes it easier to understand, to get people at least more interested in the subject, and push them into doing their own research. And so you're going to see our own blend, where, the reptilians, rather than being lizard people, they're really going to be more of the Illuminati, kind of a mixture of kind of a chameleon-type breed with this New World Order kind of theory. The insectoids, not necessarily praying mantis people, but more of a symbiotic relationship with 17-year-old cicadas that come out. And the greys, of course, being your standard, signs, any movie really recently that has featured them. So we really are backing up and taking people on a kind of our own mythology that's combining a lot of things in this symbiotic relationship. It's a trinity that focuses on abduction, and that's, to me, the most frightening part. Is we wanted to really focus on paranoia and the fact that no matter where you go, these things are there. They're reconnaissance in the form of the cicadas, the insectoids. The reptilian Illuminati are among you very much in a they live or invasion of the body snatchers type fashion. And of course the greys that ultimately are the puppeteers, the clockmakers that take you. So it's a very involved answer, but I wanted to focus on that for your fans because I know they're the ones that care and they want to know.
I love the fact that you guys actually did research alleged authentic sources for this stuff. You mentioned David Icke. What specifically, or maybe highlight a couple sources that you went to for looking into the abduction phenomenon?
Well, we watched a lot of interviews that are, of course, as you know, available either freely or at a small price online. We looked at the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case. That was, of course, the one that was most popularized, that really took the spotlight for the States, at least. And we looked at really a lot of online research when it came to, and really some books as well, that kind of looked at ancient civilizations. And we really wanted to look at some conjectures and some inferences that could be made about evolutionary off-branches of humanoids that could have turned into something else. That was something that really interested us. So it wasn't really just 1, 2, or even 3. It was kind of a very spotty mismatch of how can we make something that's going to keep people's interest, but really it could still make feasible sense in some degree. And so that's to answer your question. That's really what it was. It wasn't one particular abduction case, although Betty and Barney Hill, David Icke, there's a wealth of material from David Icke out there that is it's so overwhelming, some of the things that he has to offer. And then Travis Walton, of course, as well, listening to him the original Fire in the Sky fella that, was able to bypass many of the lie detecting tests along with his friends. So does that sort of answer your question?
Absolutely, it does. And I've got to ask now, you don't have to speak on behalf of Andrew, but are you a believer in extraterrestrial visitation?
I absolutely am. Part of my own belief system is that which is unseen, and that encompasses a broad amount of material that is out there. I think Andrew and I, when we both sat down and wrote this with our third co-writer, Adam King, it was hard for us to pinpoint what exactly we wanted the traits of these extraterrestrials to be. Do we want them to be these Reese piece eating, hopping entities, or do we want them to be a little bit more malevolent? It seems very polarized in movies. There's not really an in-between in a lot of movies. And but to back up, I do think that they're out there. I don't think they're in a form that we necessarily understand or portray correctly now. But I do think that we have been visited in the past. I do think we are visited now. And I think at some point, as science and as our intellects continue to evolve, they may find it that we're sentient enough for visits, for future visits and direct communication. And I think that as the world becomes more socially connected through social media, it's going to be a little more accepted. And I'm already sensing, my dad, I was at a foundation dinner last night, and he told me he had a book about the pyramids, and I was like, this is my father. He's a staunch conservative Republican businessman that is actually embracing some of this stuff. So, I think that I do believe, and Andrew believes, and whether it's an interdimensional being or something that is very tangible, I can't tell you. I don't know if anyone can, but it's exciting to me. And so, if anything, I think it's a modern-day religion, a fusion of mythology and science it's based on something very real.
You mentioned earlier that you have the hope that people will take an interest and want to look into stuff for themselves and do their own research. So, with you and this film in doing the research for it, did that bolster your belief in any way, or did you already have those beliefs in place?
I had a lot of excitement and fear of extraterrestrials, to be honest with you, before we came to this project, as did Andrew. It's one of the unknown obviously is frightening to many, but to me, when I was a child, I was terrified of any sort of bird, any sort of flying entity. I would collectively call them yeagles because I couldn't pronounce it the right way. And I refused to sleep next to windows at night because I would claim that these things were going to fly through the window and take me to their nest in the sky.
Wow. And
from a very young age, you could see that sort of naturally coincided and linked with some of these abduction stories. And through college, of course, seeing movies that dealt with the Nome, Alaska, quote-unquote, incidents, trying to really figure out, how that was really kind of exploited to the max with The Fourth Kind. But this film has solidified my belief that there is something out there, just because of the vast amount of time we had to take in listening to interviews in which people are genuinely frightened. They really do. In their eyes, you can tell with the sincerity they believe that this stuff is out there. I have not been visited. My partner, Andrew, has had experiences that he would deem paranormal, in which, he was sleeping late at night and he woke up with his girlfriend, and all of a sudden something propelled him on top of a mirror, and he broke it and cut his back really badly. And it was more of a... So, yeah, I guess I tend to stray towards more of a... I don't like to think that they're malevolent because that makes me insecure. But most of my research and my portrayals of the Greys would seem to indicate that these puppeteers are much smarter than us in some way. and they exploit that. So it's definitely has solidified my thoughts on it.
Well, because of your thoughts and Andrew's, experiences and thoughts as well, paired with your research, I'm really excited to see how this all translates into the movie. So let's talk more about the movie, where it is at this point, and how you've gotten to this point. I know you guys did a crowdfunding campaign, right, to raise money for the film and got it to where it is in its current state.
It's correct. Most people don't understand when you set out to do a movie, an independent movie at that, it's really a minimum of 3-year process. We started this process about, that was last summer when we finished the screenplay with our third screenwriter. And we, at that point, were thinking, we came off our first film, we were thinking, my gosh, we could make another $30,000 feature. And then Andrew and I were like, there's no way. This deserves something so much more. We've got to go big. We've got to go try and do it the right way and try and get this thing seen by as many people. So at first the number was $150,000, and now we're at the point after shooting 20 minutes of the film that we're trying to get equity investment for about anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 to make this film what it needs to be. But you're right. As of last spring, we were successful in independently fundraising through Indiegogo.com around $7,000, I think, paired with our own monies and blood, sweat, and tears by my partner and I, our company, Versa Media Inc. And Versa Entertainment Inc. We were able to provide all of the crew. So, it was a standard independent crew, 30, 35 crew members. We were able to contact, through our casting producer, Maggie Blaine, we were very connected to the horror community, that niche community convention scene, and we're able to contact Lou Temple from The Walking Dead. A lot of people know him as Axel, the prisoner, but he's been in a number of other pieces of content, such as Lawless. He was in Rango as a voice, and he's in a lot of Rob Zombie stuff. Actually, he's just now been casted with Halle Berry in a film they shot in New Orleans. But aside from him, we also contacted Rob Prago from the Vampire Diaries, who plays the governor. And immediately we were very, very excited about the possibilities that existed, because Lou and Rob, and especially Lou, playing the main character Brian, they bring such a sincerity to the role. If you haven't checked out the trailer, you really should. We're excited for it because I think Lou really identified with the PTSD element of this. And I think he as well, I haven't grilled him about it yet, but I think that he may believe that this stuff is out there as well. And this became a very personal project for a number of us, and an exciting one at that. So aside from all of that, we're now at the point, this past summer, we did a very fast-paced shoot. Typically, on an independent film, you want to do about a 23-day shoot, 24, for a feature-length screenplay. That's about 3 pages a day you want to shoot. Because of the time crunch we were under and only having that small amount of money, and everybody was doing this for free because they love the project, we decided that the proof of concept was only going to be 20 minutes of the final film that we could use or not use later when we get the money. So we shot 20 minutes of it. We're at the point now where it's in post-production being edited, and we're going to shop that 20 minutes to equity investors and angel investors around the country and really anywhere that want to contribute to this film and see it become a reality. And our hope is, by them seeing the quality that we have done with $7,000 to $8,000, imagine what we're going to be able to do when we have all the bells and whistles. So it's been very exciting, and we've been able to do very, very much with very, very little because of the skill sets that have been brought to the table. This is not our first rodeo by any means, but it's a very involved process, and that's just talking about pre-production and production. But would very much be looking forward to getting this to people in a VOD sort of fashion, but hopefully a limited theatrical release as well if the money was there.
It's incredible what you guys have been able to accomplish to this point. And you're right, the footage that you do have is stunning. It's amazing when you watch the trailer. And, I mean, you can tell the writing, the depth of the film, the excitement, the quality of actors. I mean, Lou's amazing. So yeah, the trailer you guys have right now, if that's any indication of what the final product is going to be, it's really exciting. So I do hope people get excited about it too and want to help make it a reality. So for people who maybe want to help with the film or just want to follow along and see what developments are being made with the film, where can people go to follow what you guys do?
I would say right now the most reliable source for information would be going to the Facebook page, facebook.com, The3Movie. The same on Twitter. Our hashtag going around is No Escape, with the E at the end of No Escape being a 3. And be on the lookout. Our new website will be launched soon. Obviously, with no funding, this is completely a labor of love that's coming out as we can. And just help us spread the word. Help share this trailer we've launched. There'll be probably more additional content coming out very, very soon. On Instagram, we release little bits here and now again. And look for us at a couple conventions coming up. We'll be at Walker Stalker Con in Chicago at the Navy Pier coming up in February. We'll be at the Indianapolis Wizard Con, as well as the Bruce Campbell Con, and I can't remember if that's in March or not. But we'll probably be going to 2 or 3 of those and be working really, really hard in the meantime to try and re-solidify the script, keep in contact with our actors, and raise the money to do this thing. So.
Well, we certainly wish you luck, and I can't wait to see the final product when it finally comes out. Kenneth, thanks again so much for coming on the show today, and we'll be in touch to follow up and see how everything progresses. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jason.
UFOs and extraterrestrials are common themes in Hollywood movies and in pop culture in general, and the UFO phenomenon is something most people are interested or have personal stories associated with the phenomenon. That's why we like visiting pop culture events occasionally to talk with the mainstream public about these topics.
We recently attended the Phoenix Comicon Fan Fest to do just that. Do you think there are extraterrestrial civilizations out there?
Anything's possible. Mathematically, just with the vastness of the universe, it'd be weird to think if we were the only, self-replicating beings. And so, infinite space means infinite possibilities.
Well, with the big galaxy that we have, it would certainly be possible.
Oh, it's out there.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's visiting us right now?
Absolutely.
Given that I am extraterrestrial, I think that answers the question itself.
Have you ever seen a UFO or anything yourself?
I have not, but I don't spend a lot of time outdoors.
I was here in Phoenix when we had the triangle sighting.
Oh, really? What did you see?
It was the 3 triangles over, well, at the time I was in Paradise Valley, and I could see it over the mountains towards Luke Air Force Base.
I met some very nice people which, while humanoid, look very feline, but then there's others that have made some very bad choices along the way in their evolution of their species, and suddenly they're encased in metal and have removed all their emotions and are on the warpath,
One of the things that's in the movie is kind of this space travel through portals and things like that. Do you think that's real and possible?
Yeah, I do actually. It's really interesting. Even just using the comics as a starting point to look at fourth dimensional physics and stuff. I have a friend who's actually a mathematician that goes to MIT, and I talk with him about it a lot, and it's fascinating. It's hard to get your head around, but it may be workable one day.
In dealing with the possibility of interacting with our galactic neighbors, what would be your advice for humanity?
I would say, don't be hasty. Don't come in with your guns. You people are very fond of your projectile weapons. And who knows what you'll have in 50, 60... Wait, you shouldn't know that yet. But
50, 60 years,
50, 60 years, know that. But I would say come with the best intentions, come with peace, and come with an open mind.
That's all for this episode of Spacing Out. As always, remember to visit our website, openminds.tv, for all the latest UFO news. Follow us on Twitter at OpenMindsTV. Don't forget, it's about the last week to register for the 2015 International UFO Congress, and that's the largest UFO conference in the world. It's taking place February 18th through the 22nd in Fountain Hills, Arizona. All that information is at ufocongress.com. And if we somehow manage to find the time, we may post an update from the conference Friday, February 20th. But if we wind up being too busy, which is most likely, then our next episode will be Friday, March 6th.
Let us know if you enjoyed today's episode by liking the episode on YouTube and leaving us your comments in the section below. You can also download our podcast, Open Minds UFO Radio, on iTunes or at openminds.tv/radio. Thanks again for joining us today. I'm Alejandro Rojas.
And I'm Maureen Elsberry. We will see you in the future.